Welcome back to the channel. My name's Martin Sanders and this is the Football Martin channel. This is Premier League Survival, a brand new series here on the channel. This is episode 2. Last week I sat down with Dave from Talking Wolves. Go check out the video because it's well worth a watch. We got to the heart of all things Wolverhampton Wanderers. They find themselves bottom of the Premier League right now, but the team we are talking about today are not in the bottom 3, but a team that will be fighting relegation, no doubt. A team that got promoted last season from the Championship as champions of the Sky Bet Championship last season. Leicester City. They've had an okay start to the season, just the one win on the board, sitting 17th in the Premier League at the time of recording. It's the international break, and we're going to get to the heart of all things Leicester City. So what I'm going to do in each episode on the Premier League Survival is we're going to be speaking with a fan podcaster or broadcaster that lives and breathes their football club to get to the heart of the fan base from a fan's perspective. And I'm going to bring you a real insight into how the fans are feeling, what's going right, what's going wrong, and why they find themselves where they do at that moment in time. And we may get a few special guests throughout the season as well, where I may approach a couple of broadcasters to come on the show as well. I hope you're enjoying the content, and if you are enjoying my content, please do smash like on this video, and if you're new to my channel, please do subscribe as well. Some amazing content coming your way over the next couple coming weeks. And if you're not following me over on TikTok, please do so at @footballmartin_. Daily content all around Southampton, the team that I support. Right, let's get into the show. Fox joins us from Blue Tinted Glasses. Locks, welcome along to the show. First and foremost, give yourself a shout out. Where can everybody find you? We want a bit of Leicester City content. Where do we go?
Yeah, cheers, Martin. Yeah, Blue Tinted Glasses is the YouTube channel. So it's a kind of new YouTube channel. I mean, it's about 2.5 months old now that it's been going. So yeah, loads of Leicester City content. Obviously, speaking with all types of all different fans as well from other clubs when we play them. So there'll be a video coming out soon as well with Martin, of course. So yeah, it's going well. So anyone who wants to jump over, that's much appreciated.
Yeah, get the pre-match previews in. I love to watch the pre-match previews around other teams in and around certainly Southampton. Obviously, I'm a Saints fan, but in this show today, I've got a special focus on all things Leicester City. I want to talk to you about the season so far. How has it been back to the Premier League at the first time of asking? Went up as champions last season under Enzo Maresca, who left in the summer for Chelsea. Steve Cooper comes in as manager. There was a big transition over the summer. So much happened. Let's go back to the very start and that appointment of Steve Cooper after Enzo Maresca was, went down to Chelsea. Give me your thoughts on his appointment, and was he the right man for the job?
Yeah, so I mean, just touching on Enzo at Leicester, he had a difficult relationship, I think, with fans, even in just 9-10 months in charge, because it was something new to the football club. It was kind of, we looked at when he was appointed originally, thinking, oh, we're going to play like Man City, and we did to a certain degree at championship level. We tried to do that, and the problem is, Martin, that large portions of the fan base don't like that style of football. I think it is definitely an age thing in my eyes. There was definitely a big difference between the younger fans and the older fans when it came to enjoying the football. Personally, I didn't care as long as we won games, which we did a lot of last season. When it came towards the end of the season, we started dropping points, started losing games we really shouldn't be with the squad that we had. Questions started going towards Enzo Maresca, and there were big concerns about whether he could keep us up in the Premier League, playing that way. After you look at the likes, Burnley, for example, is a team that everyone looks at and says, "See, you can't do it" as a newly promoted team. However, in no way did we expect Chelsea to come in for him. I mean, we definitely thought he had the minerals to potentially be a top manager at a top club in the future, but we didn't think it would come that soon. And when the rumors first started swirling around, we were like, no way, it's not going to happen. And it ended up happening. And we know how mad the Chelsea ownership and board are. So it's not that much of a surprise, really, in hindsight. But Steve Cooper, well, first of all, we were linked with Graham Potter. We were linked with Carlos Corberán. We were linked loosely with David Moyes. And one of the last names to come into the mix was Steve Cooper. And I'm going to be honest with you, mate, majority of fans had their had their head in their hands thinking, please, no, not Steve Cooper. And we you know, for me, it wasn't, people think it's just because of the Forest link. I don't think it is. It is more because we don't, you know, going from a manager like Brendan Rodgers to then Enzo Maresca to then Steve Cooper, to me, it doesn't seem like much of a plan. It seems like you're kind of taking a step back in that direction. So it was a worry. And then when it was announced, I think, you know, one thing I will say to Steve Cooper is he's started on a bad on a bad footing anyway, because many fans didn't want him, and he needed to do a lot to turn it around, really, from the fans' perspective. And I don't think he's done much of that, to be honest. Yes, he has us in a good position, but right now, and if the season ended now, we'd be happy. But still, there are big doubts over him, and maybe unfairly, a lot of fans just aren't on board with him, and a lot of fans want him gone already. So, yeah, it's not a healthy relationship at the moment between the fans and Cooper. But of course, there are some fans that are more than happy with him and that think he's doing a great job. But I would say maybe 60% of the fan base are probably against the idea of Steve Cooper in charge.
No, it's interesting to talk about Steve Cooper. He's come from a rival as well in Nottingham Forest, which is never gonna help things at all. Obviously, a lot happened after Cooper. Obviously you have the transfer window open. How did you feel on the business that was done by the football club over that summer transfer window, getting ready again for the Premier League? Yeah, talk to me about it. What were you disappointed with? What were you happy with?
To be fair, it started off as quite a surprise because, I mean, as is the case with football nowadays, not many transfers go under the radar. As you know, it's there's loads of speculation for maybe days, weeks, and then it just eventually happens, and you can't really get excited for them because you find out about a transfer like a month before it happens these days. But we made the signing of Bobby Decordova-Reid, which was completely out of the blue. Like, we first heard about it, and then about 3 hours later, it was done and announced. I thought it was an okay signing. He was out of contract. It was a free deal. It was a 3-year contract, which is a bit of a shame for someone of that age, but it was one of them. Adds to the squad depth, Premier League experience, so we were okay with that. And then we started to get a little bit more excited. We saw the likes of Abdul Fattah being made permanent. That he came in, who was brilliant. I mean, you know all about him after the
ran as ragged last time,
the game last season. Yeah, 100%. Caleb Okoli, young centre back from Atalanta. We were obviously not sure how he'd get on, to be honest with you. He was a bit of an unknown. He had a poor pre-season, but he's turned out to be quite a good Premier League centre-back. He's replaced Yannick Vestergaard in the team. And then, obviously some other names out there like Jordan Ayew, which again, a lot of fans didn't really get excited for, as you can imagine, but he does a good job Premier League experience-wise. Oliver Skipp, I was happy with this one. There were question marks over the price tag. It was like 20 million quid rising to 25 with add-ons. I'm assuming the add-on is if we stay in the Premier League. So maybe that will be met. So it's a big price tag, but I like him, and now he's replaced Harry Winks in the team.
Has he? So Harry Winks hasn't been starting for you then?
Just the one game. So the thing with Harry Winks is he was excellent in the Championship last season. He was really important to Enzo Maresca's system. There was a perfect role there for him in the team. This season, he's been a bit vacant. He's kind of disappeared in games, as you can imagine, with us not having much of the ball in many of the games. He's not really had much to do. And he gets caught out a little bit with his lack of pace, his lack of physicality, and obviously, he's defensively, he's not a great midfielder defensively. So I think Steve Cooper made the decision. There was something lacking in our team, and he made the decision against Bournemouth to replace Winks and bring in Skipp. So it was a midfield of Skipp, Ndidi, and Buonanotte. So who knows what the future is for Winks in the Leicester team? And that man I just mentioned, Facundo Buonanotte, he has been by far. No one is close to him in terms of the new signings to how good he is. A loan deal, so I can't imagine him ever being a Leicester player permanently because he's just signed a new deal at Brighton. But he honestly, mate, he is incredible. He is incredible. He played 23 games for Brighton last season in the Premier League. off the bench and starting a few. But yeah, he just when he's on the pitch, we look a different team, driving the ball forwards, taking players on, decent passing on him as well. A hell of a finish. He scored a couple goals now. So yeah, he is magic. So that he has been our signing of the season so far, I think. And
yeah, I was looking at his statistics on Opta, and they're very good actually. 6 appearances already, 2 goals. There's an XG of 0.69. He's had 8 shots at goal as well. He's a man that that's highly rated. Another man that's still doing well, and he's still, when you look at the player statistics for the attacking third, Jamie Vardy's played 7 games already this season. 2 goals for him already as well. Still proving that he can do it at Premier League level as well.
Yeah. I mean, he's a freak. He's a freak of nature, as we all know. He's been scoring goals for a long time now, and he's just not as mobile as he was. Although he did absolutely turn Mark Gahey inside and out against Crystal Palace a few weeks back, but when he scored his 2nd goal of the season. But yeah, the thing with Vards is we can't rely on him every week. He doesn't score every week. He managed to get 15 goals, I think, in the Championship last season in the end. But I think he actually had his best ever goals per minute ratio in his whole career last season at the age of 37. But yeah, he's obviously not the player he was 5 years ago. He's lost a yard of pace. But if the ball is put on a plate to him, he will score. He'll put it in the back of the net, which is why he's still so important, and why he's such a danger still. So yeah, he'll play, in all of the games for the foreseeable future, I imagine. But Patson Daka is returning from injury soon, so we'll see if he gets into the team.
Dewsbury Hall been a big miss since he vacated for Chelsea.
It's a weird one, mate, because Dewsbury Hall in the Premier League for us was, I would call him, people say this might be harsh, I would call him an average Premier League player when he was in the Premier League for us. Like with any player that comes through the academy, he's kind of hyped up by the fans. And maybe you overlook some of his faults. But in the Championship, there's no doubt, he was probably the best player, second best player in the Championship. Top 3, I would say, between Somerville, Dewsbury Hall and Armstrong, if you look at the numbers that they all put up. So yeah, it's weird. It's hard to say whether we miss him because we're playing a different system now. Of course, we're playing different type of football. With regards to his last season in the Premier League for us, not really much of a miss. But yeah, I mean, the numbers he put up last season, I'm sure he would have been. He would be scoring or assisting, 1 or 2 here or there if he was still with us. So yeah.
Look, you spoke about the change in the way you play this year. Very different style than what Maresca brought to Leicester City last year in the Championship. What's the biggest difference this year under Steve Cooper? I haven't seen loads of Leicester. I've seen highlights clips. So give me a little bit of an understanding of how you play this season to how you did last season.
We're very cautious. We are very cautious. We were last season to a certain extent. We weren't forcing it. The difference this year, I think, is we do force it sometimes a little bit too much when we are in the final third, or when we're trying to get into the final third. Enzo Maresca was very, that whole style of football was just all about patience. Keep the ball as long as possible. A chance will come, right? A chance will come. Even if it's in the 93rd minute, it will come. Just stay and carry on what you're doing. But with Steve Cooper, when I say cautious, I don't really mean too much about the football, but the team selection for starters, I mean, it's very negative. There's not really much attacking threat that he goes for in the starting 11. I mean, rather than Abdul Fatawu, for example, he goes for Jordan Ayew, who's very much better kind of winning fouls high at the pitch and things like that, keeping the ball at his feet rather than taking on players. We have, in the last couple of games, started to play out from the back a little bit more. I think, the whole thing when Cooper was first announced was we were under the impression it would go to the complete opposite way of playing, which initially it did. To be honest with you, it was hard to really see anything at first because there didn't seem to be much of a plan. The players seemed a little bit lost. But more recently, he's definitely had his fingerprints on the team a little bit more. I'd say that, when we do win the ball back, we do try and get up the pitch quite quickly, which was a little bit different under Enzo. However, majority of the time, Steve Cooper is more than happy for us to just give up possession, let you come and attack us, sit quite deep, and then just try and win the ball with the likes of, and Wilfred and DD, Oliver Skip, Wout Faze, for example, who likes to push up a little bit. So, yeah, honestly, mate, there is no set style, if I'm honest with you. And you'll see this on the weekend. It's hard to really put your finger on it and say, okay, this is what the plan is. It does seem to change quite often, but as time goes on, we're seeing a little bit more. But I think the important thing is that, in the last couple of games, Arsenal and Bournemouth, we have tried to play out from the back just a little bit more, and the performances seem to have improved off the back of that. Because for me, it's what the players know. They did this for a whole year, under Enzo Maresca. I think that's what Steve Cooper should have done. Maybe kept it not too similar, but kept it a little bit close to what they played last year. But that wasn't the case at the start. So.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to hear about the change in style. Loads of talk about possession-based football, whether a team can get promoted and continue to play it. It may work in your long term. It may work out better to not play that way and not give up possession around the edge of the 18-yard box, bit like what we're doing down at Southampton a lot. We do give teams a huge amount of opportunities at the moment because of the way we play. Let's look at your fixtures so far this season. Great result, wasn't it? But before the international break, to beat Bournemouth, going into an international break, eases the pressure. First win of the season. It was massive to get that one under your belt, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%, mate. We were winless in the Premier League, of course. Like I said, I reckon, pressure was really, really starting to pile on Cooper big time. And, it's weird because, even myself, I have to sometimes take a step back and look at where we are in the league and all of our results. You look at it and think, well, I actually would have been quite happy with them results at the start of the season. But the difference is, mate, I genuinely believe this, whether it makes me delusional or not. I genuinely believe we should have won 3 games this season. I think that we should have beaten Everton, we should have beaten Crystal Palace, and then the Bournemouth game as well. So I think we're actually underachieved, in terms of what we've seen on the pitch. Many times this season we've kind of been on top and we've kind of just took our foot off the gas there. And Cooper's tried to defend a 1-0 lead or a 2-0 lead or something like that, which I think's backfired completely. So that's why we're not too happy with Cooper. But in terms of the Bournemouth game, of course, it was 3 massive points. It put us 3 points further up. I know you got a point, didn't you, against Ipswich? So you and Ipswich shared the points. But yeah, it kind of built a little bit of a gap, I suppose. And it helps you with confidence. It's a shame that the international break was then, because after a win, you want to
keep
go
that
again,
momentum
right?
rolling, don't you? You want to keep it rolling.
Spot on. Yeah, exactly, mate. So it's a bit of a shame, but yeah, the 3 points were massive, and hopefully we can get another 3. I mean, to be fair, no offense to Southampton, but you look at the table, or you look at the teams that you can play in the league and think, after a win, who do we want? It probably is a Southampton, or an Ipswich. They are probably the 2 teams that you look at, the newly promoted teams. On paper, they are the weakest. So
they're the ones you want to be winning, aren't they? Like, I've just looked at your fixtures now, like your next 4. So between the international break's about to end, at the time of recording, you play Southampton at the weekend. This video, I'm hopefully going to get this out live before the weekend. So you play our boys at the weekend down at St Mary's. You've then got Nottingham Forest at home. Cooper's ex team come to the KP. You've then got an EFL Cup game against Man United away, and then you've got Ipswich away, which is another big game. I believe you've got Man United away as well. So when you look at those fixtures, the next block is not a bad block of fixtures, is it? Winnable games you'd be looking at, targeting Southampton. Forest certainly at home as well, though they've had a fairly decent start to the season. Then Ipswich away. Massive games for you boys now, isn't it? A huge month.
From those games that you mentioned, including the Saints game, ideally in an ideal world, you'd probably look and say we want 7 points from Southampton, Forest, Ipswich, and Man United. I think 7 points would be a good return. However, and Southampton, of course. However, 5 I would just about take. A win and 2 draws, I think, would be fair. 6 points, I think, is my aim, I would say. I would be more than happy with 6. I would be just about happy with 5. So there's a couple fixtures there which you have to be winning. I don't know about you guys at Southampton, but all of our fans, all Leicester fans have been saying the same thing. It's like a mini league, right, between Southampton, Leicester, Ipswich, maybe Everton, maybe Wolves. So you need to just not lose them. At least just don't lose them. And I know you shared the points, like I said, and I read some online earlier that statistically majority of games between relegation rivals, they do end up in draws a lot of the time. So you'd never know. We could be looking at 2 draws on our hands. So we'll just have to wait and see. But for me, they are the games that you have to be winning in a relegation battle. And if we do beat Southampton and Ipswich, let's say, that puts us in a really good position, I think, going forwards for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Locks, as we come to the end of our Premier League survival show today, are you feeling more comfortable now about staying up than you maybe did at the start of the season? Do you think you can do it? He's got the players to do it, the squad, and the playing style. Is it going to be enough to get you over the line?
I think we've got the squad. I do think we've got the squad. Yeah, I think we're good enough, like again on paper, to stay up in the Premier League. The points deduction news that we got a couple of months ago, that helped that massively. When the points deduction was still in the works, I would have said no, we're going down, mate. We're going down, because it was looking like 7, 8, 9 points, and it was like, no, we're not gonna stay up with that. I'll give you a little scoop. I hear from a insider and all that that Leicester might still be getting a points deduction this season. Which is because of the EFL breach, and apparently there's if they rule that we have breached last season, there is something written in the EFL rules to say that the Premier League can punish us. So it won't be as significant as the other one that was rumored, but maybe still 3 or 4 points that could still be coming off Leicester.
That was a massive relief, wasn't it? That earlier one, for you guys, you must have thought, oh, that's such a relief to.
Massive.
I think everybody around you would think, well, Leicester would get the points deduction. That put them down, and that's going to put them in trouble. But obviously, you didn't get it, so it changes everything. Obviously, there could be a smaller points deduction, but you must have been relieved at the one a couple of weeks ago for sure.
Yeah, I think everyone wrote Leicester off with the points deduction as well, and I did, to be honest with you. I wrote us off, saying that with the points deduction, with a new manager that we're not really on board with, losing Dewsbury all and this and that, it was always going to be a struggle. Of course, now we're in a better position, literally in the table, and also mentally in the players' head, I'm sure, and in the fans' heads. So. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see if anything else does come for that. But still, mate, I wouldn't be surprised if Cooper doesn't see out the season. If we have a poor run, I think the board would be very much more, much keener to pull the trigger than they were, let's say, when we had Brendan Rodgers. So I think the club did struggle with the manager pool in the summer when the point seduction was looming over us. Now there is no immediate point seduction rumor looking likely. Then potentially the manager pool is slightly bigger. So we'll have to wait and see.
Definitely. Like you've been an absolute superstar on the show today. Make sure you go check out all his details are at the bottom of the screen, of his screen there. Go give him a follow on socials. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel as well. He's producing some brilliant content. Absolute superb guest. Thank you very much for joining me today. We'll be back with another Premier League survival show very, very soon. That will be in the next international break.